We were so spoiled on Thursday and Friday night. We had the Ravens versus Chiefs on Thursday. What a great game. Incredible ending. Friday, we get the Packers and Eagles. Another really good game. Unfortunately, kind of a sour taste after Jordan Love does get injured at the end of it. But two great games. Sunday was off to a little bit of a slow start. Not very many passing touchdowns. I mean, Baker Mayfield led the league in passing touchdowns. So I think there were only like 25 or 26 passing touchdowns. So not a lot of crazy wide receiver production, but we did have some big running back performances. And in this video, I'm going to give you guys my week 1 risers from the running back position. So these are dudes that I think are going to be season long, big time names that are going to really outproduce where we've been drafting them. I'm sure there are some guys that I missed. If you guys find some value from this video, you like this type of format, I'd really appreciate a like and a subscribe. Really helps the channel. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Maybe I've missed some people. Maybe there are a few backs that maybe I didn't watch enough of on Sunday. Maybe they didn't come to mind, but these dudes that really popped off the screen for me. And I think their situation is something we should be excited about. So without wasting any more of your time, I'm going to hop into the first name, and it is Saquon Barkley from our Friday night game in Brazil. It was an absolutely phenomenal first game on a new team where we had concerns about his, touchdown equity. We had concerns that there wasn't going to be enough of a pie to go around and that Saquon Barkley would get poached. The same way DeAndre Swift got poached last season, right? There just wasn't a lot of touchdown opportunities for Swift last season. But that theory was, flipped on its head, man. He had 3 total touchdowns, 2 on the ground with 1 receiving. He had 2 receptions for 23 yards and 24 carries for 109 yards with those 2 rushing touchdowns. So absolutely insane first game, 80% snap share. I think the thing that's kind of contributing to a lot of why I'm really high on Saquon moving forward, it seems like the tush push isn't going to be as effective now. I know it's only been 1 game, but there was a moment in the game where they try to do the tush push and it ends up in a fumble, like just bad snap. Cam Jurgens, the new center, he's not Jason Kelsey, right? Like I know he kind of like shadowed him and Jason Kelsey taught him everything he knows and stuff like that, but it's just not the same. And if it's less effective, that's going to be more rushing upside and rushing touchdowns for Saquon. And we already saw that, man. It seems like when they're in the red zone, it's like Saquon's the first option. And then, I think AJ Brown and Smith and Goddard and everybody else kind of falls in line after that. It's like, why not use this new shiny toy that we have? Like, why not like justify the fact that we went out and got him and paid him money, So Saquon Barkley is somebody that I'm super high on. I think he's got like top 5 potential, if not like top 3 potential, man. It's just he's on a better offense than Bijan. He's on a better offense than, we haven't seen the Jets, but I imagine the Jets are going to be kind of a one-trick pony with like Garrett Wilson, Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. Like, I don't know if they're as deep as the Eagles are. We'll see. I mean, I just think Saquon is going to be in a fantastic situation moving forward. If you have him, I think you're feeling pretty fucking stoked. And the next guy on my list is going to be Joe Mixon. This one took me by surprise. I was kind of concerned about Mixon. He's over 28. There's only been 4 running backs in the past 3 seasons over the age of 28 to be a top 12 running back. And Joe Mixon, and 2 of those running backs were Derrick Henry 2 different times. So it's just somebody that I was concerned going into this season. I know he's on a great offense, but I was just concerned about like whether he can hold up, man, whether he can, remain a high volume type back. I was concerned about the volume, but he had 30 carries for 159 yards, a touchdown, 3 receptions for 19 yards, but only 71% snap share, which is fine, right? That's still bell cow, still puts you in the bell cow running back category. They, as I mentioned, they're a top offense. He's a very powerful runner, and he still has some pretty decent burst and speed, which I think reports came out that the Bengals were kind of unhappy with him and let him go because they were kind of concerned that he lost some of his speed and some of his burst. So I didn't see it, man. He looked really great. And the next guy on the list is going to be J.K. Dobbins. This one's an easy one. I think everybody has J.K. Dobbins now on top of mind. He had 10 carries for 135 yards, 1 touchdown, and then 3 receptions for only 4 yards. But where he really surprised us was in his breakaway speed. I think he hit like 19 miles per hour, which was tied for number 1 in the NFL on the slate from a running back. So really great, man. As the season progresses, I think he's going to continue to build on that, and he's going to get a lot of his speed back. He looked really good, man. And this is a run-first team, right? The Chargers are going to be a run-first team. They're going to want to, bite your ankles, fucking smack your teeth in, kick your teeth in as a run-first team. So that's a type of dude that you want, right? Even if it is just temporary, even if it is a fleeting, if it's fleeting production, at least you have it now. Maybe you can trade him away. And I think one more thing, what the hell happened to Gus Edwards? Like, I think they Freaky Friday'd and they switched bodies, because Gus Edwards looked like he was fresh off an Achilles tear, and J.K. Dobbins looked really good and really spry and agile. So I don't know. I think that adds to the excitement that you should have for J.K. Dobbins, the fact that Gus Edwards looks so fucking horrible, and their passing game looked also very bad. Like their passing game was as bad as we thought it might be. It was really like Ladd McConkey and co. That's pretty much all it was. There's no one else really stepping up. Josh Palmer was a complete, he might as well have not suited up, right? So that's Jacob Dobbins. I would be really excited. I would try to go out and get him. Next on the list is going to be Alvin Kamara. There's not much you need to say about Kamara, man. He had a vintage stat line. He was in vintage Alvin Kamara form. Like the very first play that he had was like a reception where he just danced around a couple defenders, hit the outside, got like a 15-yard gain on a reception. It's standard, right? Like the rest of the game, he wasn't very efficient on his receptions. He only had 5 for 27, which, you want to see that a little bit higher. You want to see Kamara in like the 6 to 8 reception realm, because he's typically not been the most efficient runner of the ball as of late. So he had 15 carries for 83 yards and a touchdown, so that kind of like saved him a little bit. 52% snap share, but that's because they're in a blowout, so Jamal Williams got a lot of run like the second half. And I think if he can increase his receiving efficiency just to like solidify his floor and the risk that he might have when he does have one of those down games rushing the ball, I think Kamara is going to be like a top 10 guy moving forward. It's just, I think their offense is going to be like decent, middle of the pack the whole season. And it seems like the NFC South is going to be a pretty easy division other than probably the Bucks. So I don't know. I think it can really come down to like the Saints and Bucks duking it out in the NFC South, because the Falcons really did not look very good at all. Kirk Cousins looked completely cooked. So Alvin Kamara, I'd try to go out and get him if you can, but I do imagine that Alvin Kamara owners are probably pretty happy with him right now. Next on the list is going to be Kenneth Walker. This was one of my guys. I'm super excited to see him pop the fuck off. 20 carries for 103 yards and a touchdown. Only 2 receptions for 6 yards. 67% snap share. That's the big one, man. They had a big lead, so he did cede some work. Not a big lead, but they had a nice, comfortable lead against the Broncos, so he did cede some work to Charbonnet. But you still like the fact that he was, for the most part, the bell cow running back. The first half was brutal, like the first quarter and a half, brutal. He could not find any running room. At one point, pretty sure he like picked up a defender and threw him over his shoulders. Like, what the hell, man? Like, he's an absolute beast. Absolute beast. As I mentioned, he was one of my guys. He looked like the best player on the field for the Seattle Seahawks, and it wasn't even close. Surtain was giving DK Metcalf the fucking Revis Island treatment, so they were really leaning on Kenneth Walker in this game, because I really don't think they wanted to test the secondary of the Broncos. So this was one of those games where like we kind of saw this coming. Like I said in one of my last videos, this is going to be a Kenneth Walker game, and I think he can easily be like this season's RB dead zone gem, like last season's Breece Hall, right? I think he's going to be like a top 5 guy, man. I really do think that. I was trying to get him in every league that I could. Kenneth Walker moving forward is going to be absolutely amazing. If you could still get him now, if maybe the owner's a little bit uncertain about Charbonnet's involvement, pay up, dude. Open the coffers for Kenneth Walker for sure. Next guy on the list is going to be Brian Robinson Jr. I don't know if he's still a junior or not. He had 12 carries for 40 yards and a touchdown. Not too crazy, not very efficient on the ground. 3 for 4 for 49. That's where he really did a lot of damage in the receiving game. He caught 3 balls for 49 yards, man. I know he only had 57% snap share. Keep in mind, they were in pretty negative game script the entire game. So Eckler did get a good amount of work, and Eckler was the leading receiver for them. But other than that, Eckler really did not take any short yardage stuff. I think he took like one run in like the fourth quarter where he did like a 4-yard scamper in the fourth, just because they were in a high tempo offense. But other than that, even in the high tempo at the end of the game, when it was like really negative game script and it was just garbage time pretty much, they still brought Brian Robinson in at the end to try to punch it in. And he almost punched it in, and then it went to Jaden Daniels for the rushing touchdown at the end, where he did the option where he missed, and then he did the option again where he punched it in. So Brian Robinson could have had 2 touchdowns on the day, and we'd be having a completely different conversation. He's the clear lead back, but he did not give up all receiving downs, and he caught, like I said, 4 targets, 3 receptions for 49. If we can expect this moving forward, that he's going to get like clear lead back role, plus receiving work, plus touchdown equity. Plus, he has Jaden Daniels, who's a mobile quarterback who really helps these types of like between the tackles running backs. I think Brian Robinson is an absolute fucking steal, dude. Head to my channel. I might put up a link somewhere up above me. He is a must trade for, dude. Try to get Brian Robinson now, before he has one of these like over 100-yard rushing, 30, 40-yard receiving, 2 touchdown games. I think he's going to be an every week starter for you. I just think the offense looks like it's more efficient. They can actually generate some offense, get into the red zone. And I think their offense is not going to be as bad as it was, man. I even said in that other video, go check out that video and see what I say about Brian Robinson, because if you guys would have watched it before the games, you would have seen what I said, and you would have, some of you might have went and tried to trade for him, and you'd be feeling real nice right now. So the next guy on my list is going to be Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard looked great. Nothing more I need to say, man. 16 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown. 3 receptions for only 12 yards, unfortunately, but he was the clear 1A. Like, it wasn't really a 1A, 1B. It was like, he's the one. And Tajay Spears was the clear number 2 guy. Tony Pollard looked great. He like actually looked fast. And I think another like positive in Tony Pollard's column is that the passing offense for the Titans looked really bad. Now, one of my busts of the week was the entire Titans receiving core. So I said to sit all of them if you can, because I did say that the Chicago Bears have a really good defense this season. But Tony Pollard, despite going up against a really rugged defense, looked really good. Just was breaking away nice runs any chance he got. So I think if you got him in like the 9th round plus or 8th round plus, you're feeling pretty happy about that. Now, things could change for Pollard moving forward. It could be a hot hand approach where if Spears busts off a couple big runs early in the game or gets a drive all to himself and really pops off, they might lean on him the rest of that game. So there's always that risk. So that's why I do think the price for Pollard in the offseason, at his ADP, was taking that into account, that he might lose the backfield any given week, right? They could just roll with Spears. Next on the list is going to be Isiah Pacheco. Isiah Pacheco, another my guy. 15 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown, 2 receptions for 33 yards, and an 80% snap share. So these stats are a little bit misleading. I know he only had 15 for 45, but keep in mind this is against the Ravens. I know he only had 3 targets and 2 receptions for 33 yards, but the thing that is really, really insane for me was Isiah Pacheco's route rates and target shares. So he ran a 73% route rate, meaning on 73% of dropbacks, he was running a route. He was out there running. He wasn't just pass blocking. And 11% target share. So that puts him in like the wide receiver category. To give you perspective, Xavier Worthy also had an 11% target share, right? So I know that's not much. Travis Kelce, 15% target share. Noah Gray, 11. Like, this is what you want to see, bro. I know Rashid Rice, breaks everybody's back with 33%, but he's getting like wide receiver type route share and target share as a running back. And I know that Samaje Perine is just going to get further implemented, further embedded into this offense. But damn, bro, if Pacheco is going to get that type of like lead back role on this Chiefs offense, who we're expecting this offense to be humming this year. We're expecting the Chiefs to be, potentially the highest scoring team on the season. I know it's 49ers are projected to be that, but I don't know, man. This Chiefs team, Hollywood Brown isn't even here. And look how they handled the Ravens. Not handled. Obviously, they didn't blow them out or anything, but they looked good, right? They didn't even need to really lean on Kelce. It was really just the Rashee Rice slant boy game. So Pacheco, dude, very excited moving forward. If he can maintain this type of workload, I'd be very excited in Pacheco moving forward. Next on the list is going to be Jerome Ford. He had 12 carries for 44 yards and a touchdown, which he gets at the end of the game, actually in garbage time, so he really salvaged it. But where Jerome Ford really fucking surprised me was that he had 7 targets for 6 receptions and 25 yards. So not a lot of yards, mostly just like useless dump-offs and stuff. But 7 targets is actually kind of insane, right? That proves to us that he's game script proof. And better days will be ahead for the Browns. Like, they went up against a buzzsaw in the Dallas Cowboys, who have one of the best defenses in the league, probably the best defense in the league. So I do think better days are ahead for Cleveland, even though Deshaun Watson is an absolute fart, right? He who shall not be named, Voldemort, whatever other nickname Deshaun Watson is, he is as bad as advertised. He's dog shit, dude. There's nothing else to say. Like, he's absolutely, like, he hasn't, I think I saw a tweet where it's like from a beat reporter from Cleveland, longtime beat reporter. He's like, Deshaun Watson has no feel for the pocket, no presence, no like instincts, no quarterback instincts. He's just, yeah, there's no redeeming qualities about Deshaun Watson. Like whatever Michael Jordan fucking nickname he was given by his college football coach, they throw that out with the bathwater, bro, because he's an absolute fart. But Jerome Ford is a bright spot. It's not a let's roast Deshaun Watson session. It's Jerome Ford, dude. He's looking really good. I'd feel really happy. I think Nick Chubb doesn't come back till like week 7+. And with that in mind, you have a very, very serviceable, like legit flex starter for the entire time that Nick Chubb's not around. And who knows how long even after Nick Chubb comes back. And now I have a couple more names for you guys. I have a couple of deep risers. These are dudes who are like, hey, like, I'm a little bit interested in what you got going on, bro. Like, I like what I see, but you know, you're not. I don't know if I'm super excited where I'm going to be starting you, but I might take a gander, man. Take a look at that waiver wire, see if he's available, see if you can get him in like a package deal where he's like a bonus, he's a throw-in on the deal, right? And the first one is Justice Hill. So Justice Hill, going back to Thursday night, dude. Basically, he's the 2024 version of Tajay Spears. He had 8 targets on the night for 6 receptions for only 52 yards. He had like nothing on the ground, but he had a 54% snap share. I know they were in negative game script most of the game, right? So that's why he probably saw a lot of work. In other games where they're dominating, it might probably just be the Derrick Henry game. But in games where they're dominating by a lot, Justice Hill might actually get some run, like, right? Like either when they're in negative game script or when they're in super positive game script, I think they're going to want to keep Derrick Henry somewhat fresh. They're not just going to run him into the ground. So I can imagine Justice Hill, like on a more typical night where it's like a more typical game script, I can imagine him maybe having like five targets for 4 receptions and another 40 yards. Maybe he'll have more rushing attempts too to help, you know, kind of solidify that floor. Justice Hill, somebody that you know, I'm looking his way, man. I'm liking him as like a nice little, especially in PPR, dude. If you're in any type of PPR format, scam. Next on the list, very similar profile. It's Alexander Mattison. This is a very simple thesis. He's another PPR scam guy. 6 targets, 4 receptions for 43 yards and a touchdown. So actually outscores Zamir White. And to top it off, Zamir White actually did not look very good, right? So it wasn't just that Alexander Mattison outplayed him and outscored him. It's that Zamir White looked as we remember. I know he had some really big games last season, but I know that a lot of like advanced stats kind of showed us that, okay, he's getting volume, but I don't think he's really that good. Like he wasn't actually like a great runner or a great catcher. So I think Alexander Mattison is a nice, sneaky little flex play in like any type of full PPR format. Those are my players, man. Those are the risers for week 1. Fantastic week. You know, we got some data points now that we can look at, that we can try to make moves now moving forward. Check that waiver wire. I will be releasing a waiver wire video probably tomorrow. And if you guys like this video, you got some value from it, I would appreciate a like. Let me know if there's somebody you missed. I know there's some other names, obviously, bigger names that did produce, you know, guys that did fine, you know, at their ADP. But these are guys that I think kind of like jumped up from where we were drafting them. So